I don't want to overhype this situation, but I don't know another way to say this. This is really bad, guys. Yesterday, the official reports for the XFL came out and, yeah, how do I say this nicely? They weren't good. And I've seen a lot of people all over social media, even The Rock, saying, oh, well, it's not as bad as you think. We're going to fix things. But no, I disagree. I strongly disagree. As most of us know, the XFL had their first official season back in this most recent season. And I think it's more than fair to say that it had its ups, but it also had its downs. There were times all throughout the season where one week the ratings would be up and everything's looking good, but then the following week the ratings would be at an all-time low. And granted, the main reason for that, I think there's two. Number one, the XFL just came back, but number two, nobody knew when these games were going to be played. What do I mean by that? Well, for example, when we think of college football, what do we think of? Oh yeah, those games are played on Saturday. When we think of the NFL, what do we think of? Oh yeah, those games are played on Sunday. Well, with the XFL, you ask your casual fan out here, they couldn't tell you when they were played. We as humans are creatures of habitats, and when we don't have those quote-unquote habitats, well, we don't know what to look forward to. So I think people just not being familiar with the XFL and used to it, that hurt it a ton. Because for the most part, the people that watch the XFL, the people that went to the games, and heck, I even saw you guys comment this when we talked about them a couple times all throughout the season, people were happy and pleased with the outcome and the product. Now that I think about it, I didn't see anybody on any social media platform or anywhere say that the XFL was bad and it was a terrible league. To give you some perspective, I saw a ton of people saying that about the USFL last season. But all in all, when people gave the XFL a chance and watched a couple of games, everybody came to the conclusion, you know what? This ain't half bad. And me, myself, I told you guys, I had low expectations for the XFL, and I just so happened to turn it on a random Sunday, and I really enjoyed the game. I was engaged. With all that being said, though, the XFL has recently received some terrible, and I mean terrible news. I don't want to overhype this situation, but I don't know another way to say this. This is really bad, guys. And I've seen a lot of people all over social media, even The Rock, saying, oh, well, it's not as bad as you think. We're going to fix things. But no, I disagree. I strongly disagree. I just don't see a solution to this problem. And that's my point with all of this. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. We've got a lot to talk about in this late Sunday night video. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. All right, Matt, blah, blah, blah. Shut the crap up now. Without further ado, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I just say we get straight into this. All throughout the year, the ratings for the XFL weren't great. At best, you could argue and try to say they were decent. And that's at best. But yet again, diverting back to this, it was its first year back. A lot of people didn't even know when the games were going to be played and all that nice stuff. It takes a while to build up a brand, and I already know the XFL, it's not its first year in the business, but you get the point. It's its first year back into the business. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't care if you're starting up a football league. I don't care if you're trying to make the next Tesla. I don't care if it's a small family-owned business. Starting a successful business is hard, period, the end. 95% of businesses out there fail. And I don't know what the exact number is, but it's probably something like 99% of businesses don't make a profit in their first year. It takes like 4 years to actually profit and get out of the red. I do think that is very key information to throw in there to give you some context, because not a single one of you should have expected the XFL to profit this year and be extremely successful. But with that being said, yesterday, the official reports for the XFL came out and, yeah, how do I say this nicely? They weren't good. Why don't y'all take a wonder and a guess at how much money the XFL lost last year? Heading into the season, I predicted they would lose about $7 to $10 million. That's where I was at, and I still believe that even after the season. I was like, yeah, they probably lost about a cool 7 to maybe 10 million at max. Because you got to think about it, it's not like they're funding 32 NFL teams. They don't have that many. They're still funding a lot, and it takes a lot of money to run an organization like this, but it's not as much as the NFL. Well, all in all, check this out. The XFL lost $60 million. I'm going to say that again. You heard me correctly the first time. $60 million. Hold on. Why don't I say that another time so you hear me and understand how huge this is? The XFL lost $60 million in 1 year. I think I speak for everybody when I say this. Good gosh almighty, man. $60 million. Sheesh, man. Now here's my biggest question. Who's funding this? I know Dwayne Johnson, a.k.a. The Rock, that's what I just like to call him. He is the owner, but he's not the one funding this. If I remember correctly, they got outside investors, but let me look this up just to be sure. Okay, yes, got it right here word for word. On August 8, 2022, it was first reported that the XFL was looking for new equity investors in the league. The league had retained PJT Partners to help with the search and raise $125 million in equity funding, while new investors could own up to 35% to 45% of the XFL. So it's not like this is coming out of The Rock's pockets himself. They got outside investors, and that's how most of these businesses operate. Well, here's my thing. It says right here, as you can see, they were seeking $125 million. That's how much they wanted to raise for the league. Well, think about this. They just burned through half of that in 1 year. And here's my biggest concern about all this heading into the future. What leads me to believe they're not going to burn another $60 million next year? I mean, heck, there's no way, not a single chance you go from burning $60 million to only burning $10 million. There's not a single chance in the world. There's not that many people interested in the XFL. I would say best case in scenario next year, you only lose, and this is best case in scenario, $30 million. And that is best case in scenario. More than likely, you're going to lose another $40 million next year. But let's just say they do the same thing. They lose another $60 million next year. Well, that's it. They're out of money because they only raised $125 million. Now, I am sure and positive of this, they can find more money and more investors. That probably wouldn't be a problem. But another question I have is, how many years of not profiting and actually losing millions and millions of dollars can this league go through without finally scrapping it yet again? Personally, I like the league. You guys also, I've seen your comments. You like the league as well. But you got to understand something. When I say we, I'm talking about everybody a part of our community and channel. We aren't casuals. We are diehard football fans. Most of us like anything and everything football. NFL, college, high school, XFL, USFL, we'll watch anything. Just give us some football. But, and I have a big but, for most people, that's not the case. If it ain't college football or the NFL, they ain't watching, and I can't blame them. And check this out. Apparently, his movie Black Adam, it flopped, and you see right here, we already talked about, lost $60 million, and also Young Rock got canceled. Going back to this, though, check out this comment. No one has watched the XFL this year. Let's just be honest. They got over 270 likes. You see right here, most fans aren't tuning in, but under that, somebody replied, I thought it was pretty solid. That person who replied and said that guy's like me and you. I think it's as simple as this. Your diehards are going to watch the XFL, but for the vast majority, people ain't going to watch it. Another great comment right here. They can keep trying all these leagues, but if it's not the NFL or NCAA, most people will never care. I think arena football has a chance because it's basically another sport. That's exactly what I was talking about. Look, if it ain't college football or NFL, most people don't give a flying crap. It is worth being noted that the chairwoman of the XFL said this, quote unquote, we're extremely well capitalized for the long term. This is our new WWE, the next massive live property. Well, here's the thing. Yeah, you can be well capitalized and have all the money in the world, but it don't matter if you continue to lose millions of dollars every single season. Continuing along here, here's what The Rock said, and this is what I really care about. My goal was, can we get through the first season? This is not just an endeavor that's going to fill up a portfolio and one day we flip it and we're out. This is legacy. This is the long game. Do gotta say, as bad as the XFL looks right now, I do like that quote and what he had to say. You can feel how you want about this, but I don't think The Rock took over the XFL to make money. I believe him. He took over the XFL because he likes football and he's passionate about it. I don't think anybody with a working brain would have took over the XFL thinking that they're going to make a lot of money. As well spoken as The Rock is, and as much as I'd like to see the XFL see a little bit of success, I have a hard time figuring out how they can make this profitable. I have a hard time trying to figure out how they can scale this. That's what they need to do. You have to scale this business, and I don't know how you're going to do that. Because to put it to you plain and simple, people don't care. And it's the same problem that the WNBA has had. Nobody has ever cared about the WNBA, and it's never going to change. That is my fear for this league. People have never shown interest in it, and I don't think they will. And when I say people haven't shown interest, yeah, they may be having a lot of people going to the games, but I'm talking about the entire country like a NFL game or a college football game. You're never going to hear people at your local grocery store talking about the XFL. And I know I said that a lot of people didn't know when the games were on, but at the same time, this was also year one. In year one of a league coming back, it's got all the hype and attention it's ever going to get. That'd be the equivalent to college football not even having a game for 3 years and it comes back in 2027. Do some of y'all understand how high the ratings would be for college football if they didn't play for 3 years and then they finally came back? You see what I'm saying? But even with that, the XFL had a terrible year. I don't know how you can scale this because I don't know how you can get people to get interested in something they're not interested in. And that's the only way to scale this. You got to get people interested. You got to get people wanting to watch. I'll tell you this much, though. You can't have a couple more years of losing $60 million and expect this thing to stay afloat, because that's not even possible. It won't happen, and if it continues to happen, it's for sure going to be on its last leg. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Let me know your thoughts down below, but roll back.